Very professional. We're going to roll right into the live right now with Joy V. We're on live.
What up?
What's up? I just put my hat on last second. He reminded me I almost went off-brand, online, live, and screwed everything up. So greetings, my fellow guardians of the galleries, my fearless frontliners. I'm William Young, and this is the Just Corrections podcast or Just Corrections YouTube channel or the other correctional YouTube channel. Have you heard the story, Joe, of when I was in Nebraska? I was at this conference.
I've not heard this story. No.
I was sitting next to Anthony Ganji, Sir Anthony Ganji from the Tear Talk Empire,
the one and only,
and the one and only. Somebody once described him as the Elvis Presley of correctional content, and me as Johnny Cash. So I'm okay with that because I think of the two of us, I would probably be the one that would flip a bar table over. And
I'm gonna say this, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, since you brought that up. You both have the hairline for those roles. So
there you go. Yeah, and I really have the waistline of old Elvis, so maybe I could do that. But I'm sitting in this. Imagine this: I'm sitting in a room of 500 or 600 people next to who is arguably one of my great influences coming into, this career and this genre of making content on YouTube. And they're reading his bio, and I'm just grinning from ear to ear because I'm like, I'm sitting next to this dude. Like, this is pretty awesome. And then the part comes up where it says, and he's the host of the only YouTube channel on YouTube dedicated to corrections. And I looked over at him.
He put that in his bio.
It is in the bio. He goes, dude, it's an old bio. And I'm like,
okay.
I'm like, how old, bro?
Yeah. We're not going to update it.
No, it was super funny, man. It was Anthony's cool. It's just one of those moments where like new girlfriend meets old girlfriend. And it was kind of, a little bit. But all right, Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me again.
Thanks for joining me. I like the shirt. The problem is I don't have one of those shirts.
I know you don't.
Last time we did a show.
What are you talking about?
No, you talked about sending me a shirt. And here I am logoless on my shirt. So that's a real problem for me. So
two things. Shirt will be coming your way. Secondly, your hat's on fire tonight. So I'm glad you put the hat on.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't want to show my receding hairline. So listen, people, if you guys have a comment, a concern, a question, throw it in the comments. Let us know. Tonight we're going to be talking about correctional mindset, and we're speaking specifically to people that are just coming into the profession. In fact, the question is from a guy who is starting the academy on Monday, right? So just a couple of days. And do you remember what you were doing, Joe, a couple of days before you started the academy?
Oh my gosh.
Huh?
That's a good question for my wife.
Well, is she home or what? Can I get her on?
Amanda. No. So when we would go to academy, we have to pack our bags a certain way. They give you a list of what you can take, what you can't take.
Okay.
I don't know how many times I packed, unpacked, packed, and you had everything roll. And when you get to the academy, they make sure you don't have any contraband or anything bad. Right.
Oh, gosh.
And so it was one of those things that, I was just making sure I had my checklist, my little white shoes to go running for when we got sprayed and do all our CT stuff. And then make sure I had my pants. It was folding, a lot of folding. And
what did you forget? Because every time I packed,
I didn't forget a single thing.
Did you pack or your wife ended up?
I packed. Thank you very much. She did not pack. She might have supervised, but I packed.
See, when I travel, my wife usually helps me pack, and then I the last few times I'm like, you know what? I'm 44 years old. I'm a big boy. I'm going to pack myself.
You're grown.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I forget things like toothbrushes, and I forget deodorant, and hotel deodorant in Los Angeles, very expensive and very shitty, really. I mean, it was like Right Guard from 1997. They ordered it, and it's been on the shelf since 1997, and that's what I paid like $11 for, like a little travel size.
So what did you forget? You forgot your deodorant, your toothbrush, toothpaste?
Every time I go somewhere, I forget the essentials. Like, I'm happy because I have 6 or 7 pairs of socks, and I'm like, I'm totally good. And then I'm
gonna be fine.
Yeah, and then I'm have to stroll down to the lobby, all crazy breath, you know, and unshowered because I forgot everything that's really important. So,
well, at least you have, like, recently when you travel now, you at least have the mask on, and that can kind of, you're only like covering up your own breath, right? So you're the only one
that's
smelling
the
it.
problem with not wearing masks anymore, is I have to
Yeah.
brush my teeth and go back to the mints and gums and yeah. So I miss. It takes you a little while to get out of that because you used to be able to get. You had to get close to people.
So today on Just Corrections, we're going to be
Right.
talking about hygiene,
Oral hygiene on
and
Just
how
Corrections.
to travel and pack.
Right. That's why I brought you on. You're my oral hygiene expert.
I guess.
And,
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So yeah, guys, we're taking a new
right.
spin today.
Right. So this is a. I've gotten several emails this week, Joe, about I'm getting ready to start this profession. What should I be? The mindset moving in, and I googled mindset because I wasn't really sure what it meant, and I don't think that's what they're talking about. I think when they're getting ready, gearing up, I think that new boots, rookies, cadets kind of get worked up and trying to be like, who am I going to be? What should I expect, and how should I react to that kind of stuff? So I know for me, the couple of days leading up to going to the academy, I was just binge watching Oz. Right, I just needed to know what happened to Tobias Beecher, and
You started watching Shawshank Redemption
every time it's on.
Yeah.
Every single time it's on. And speaking of that, what's your favorite? I'm going to ping all over the place tonight. What's your favorite correctional movie show?
Oh. Yeah, it would have.
What are you going to say? Orange is the New Black or what?
No. It would. I mean, I watched it all. I don't think I watched the last season.
You did?
Yeah. You shake your head. No, I would think it would be Shawshank. I mean, I love Stephen
Shawshank's
King.
great.
I love Stephen King.
Yep.
And just I was watching it the other day. Oh no, Green Mile.
Oh, so you mixed them up.
Both of them are Stephen King.
They are. Yep.
But they're both really good top tier movies, in my opinion.
Green
Mile over Shawshank. Let me rephrase that.
So there's with the Green Mile, if you haven't seen the Green Mile, check it out. But the Green Mile actually, so I watched it years ago, right? And then after I dove into like the mental health aspect of corrections, PTSD, that whole thing is a Tom Hanks flashback. Well, I'm going to get corrected because it wasn't really Tom Hanks as the character. It was the old guy playing Tom Hanks. But Tom Hanks' character, that was a flashback triggered by a song that he heard on TV sitting in the nursing home. And so that was fantastic. And so there's a lot of things in that movie that you can watch and relate to our mindset in the job. But famous fight scene, they bring the dude in, they think he's catatonic.
He's all comatose.
Right. And so we have, I'm sure we all know Percy's in our facilities, and so we've all dealt with some Percy's, but so you Green Mile, Shawshank, I'm going to agree with you. Fantastic.
I tried watching Oz.
Movies.
I just got to get this off my chest.
Okay.
I tried watching it and I couldn't get into it.
Why?
I couldn't. I know you.
When did you watch it? Like recently or 25 years ago when it was on?
Not 25 years ago. I was a little kid back then.
Oh. You're not as old as I am?
No, I'm not. I'm 34. Thank you very much.
Oh boy, yeah. You would have been watching Oz when you were 3.
That would have been great. Yeah.
It would have been a whole different show tonight because you would have been not good.
No.
Not good.
I couldn't get into it. I don't know why. I mean, I know it was one of the first major HBO shows. Like it opened the door for so many things, but still, I tried. I'm sorry, Bill. I tried and I just couldn't.
It's okay. It's not for. I tried to watch it again. I did watch it when it came out, like when I was in high school.
I believe
and
that, yeah.
It was. I watched it and it was crazy. And I went back a year or two ago I'm going to rewatch Oz. After working in this profession, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna break it down. And I didn't make it through one episode. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm not going to be able to watch Vern Schillinger ever. So you're not getting any of my Oz references then?
No,
you don't,
but
you don't know who Tobias Beecher is?
The name sounds familiar because I watched 2
No.
episodes.
Oh, here we go.
I watched 2 episodes, but I will act like I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll just roll with it.
All right, man. I forgot. I need to get the age of.
Don't worry about the age. Just it was a good show.
There's
you had something when you were in high school.
Yeah, no, that's all I had. I watched Green Mile, Shawshank. So I watched Oz and then YoMTV Raps. That was my high school experience. Headbangers Ball, which you don't know about. YoMTV Raps, which you don't know about.
Wait,
and
so
what?
Off camera we talked about this. I'll bring it up now since we're live. It was a while ago. This is the last video since you're having flashbacks. The little Tamagotchi thing. How long did your little Tamagotchi last?
Actually,
when you had one.
My Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
We want to talk about Tamagotchis. Tamagotchi. I never had a Tamagotchi, but based on your suggestion last time, I now have my own tiny facility of Tamagotchis. But they're all dead because the facility was understaffed and nobody.
So you were running like a facility of Tamagotchis.
I was
feeding them, letting them out for day room, having the rack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Putting them
yes.
to bed.
Yeah, there was a whole situation. You may have heard that one of my Tamagotchis got a couple of female Tamagotchis pregnant. It was a whole thing.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was on the news and everything. Yeah. So thanks for the comments, guys. We're being a little silly here. Joe, I'm going to ask you to be serious here.
I'm trying.
What needs to be the attitude? What should they be the most concerned about walking into day 1, hour 1, minute 1 of the academy?
I honestly think it starts before that, right?
Okay.
It starts with realizing what you can handle, what you can do, and that willingness to learn. And obviously, like how we've started off your show for the past 11 minutes, that sense of humor that we can kind of just transition into that mindset when it comes to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've said before, I'm at work and I meditate before I go in and I meditate when I get off, right? So understanding that it's going to come home with you is probably one of the most important things. It's a discussion that you need to have with your significant other, with your spouse, if your kids are old enough, with them. So those would be the first couple things I would do, would have that talk with your family.
Right.
I don't know what I'm walking into right now, but it could be a shit show. It could not be.
No, it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
And you're right. I got an email from a guy who said that he got the job. He worked corrections. Spouse was not prepared with what she learned after he started, and essentially he quit because of how she was reacting to him working in corrections. And so now, but he wants to come back. It's something he wanted to do. So something they've been doing is communicating, talking about the things that he could encounter, maybe some of the changes. But you're right. And it's interesting, Joe, you mentioned that the job will come home with you.
Yeah.
The job will follow you home, because I'm guessing, I would almost put money on this, that the majority of people starting corrections on Monday, that first day, an instructor is going to tell them, just leave work at work.
Yeah,
just leave the job here.
Yeah. And that's never going to happen. Also, what I would tell that new person starting would find your hobbies and don't lose your hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lose your hobbies. If you read, if you write, if you play video games, if you like going on walks with the family, with the kids, playing outside, if you like fishing, if you like hunting. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, I think we've talked about before. I like making mead, and I've been wanting to get back into it because I haven't made mead in a while, but I want to get back into that hobby because I enjoyed it. But you find a hobby, find something to do. And honestly, when you're at home as well, I set a timer with my wife. If I have a rough day, she sets a timer. If she has a rough day at school, 10 minutes, is we will make that a religious thing when it comes
to fight each other. So that you start punching each other. And going, no.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously you can talk about work all the time when you're off work.
Right.
And that's something that it's hard to break, but if we set that timer, we won't be talking about it at home. My wife won't be hearing what happened that day at work when it came to the different codes of the different assaults that may or may not have happened. setting that timer controls yourself and realizing you're more than just a correctional officer within the facility.
Well, and
You are somebody.
realistically, everybody talks about work. I mean, my son who's 17, he talks about his day when he comes home. My neighbor comes over and we sit on the porch and he talks about his day. I mean, so for somebody in this line of work, for somebody who's going to be exposed to the things that you're exposed to set that expectation to where you're not going to discuss any of that. I mean, I don't understand that because everybody talks about their job at some point during the day.
Yeah,
I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, this is my show. Go ahead.
No,
you know.
I mean, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we're going to talk about what we love and what we do in our profession, but when it comes to the nitty gritty of what we do, of what's behind the scenes, and just that, when I go to work, I don't know how you are, but it's almost like oh, gosh, here we go again, right? You have that feeling, and then almost like it's a shadow that's on you when you get home.
A dark cloud.
Yeah, the dark cloud that you just bring home. How I break that dark cloud is I'll set my timer. I'll talk about what's really bugging me. And then I'm moving on to something else. Now, if I'm with my brother-in-law at a family get-together, or my other brother-in-law, he's a police officer. If I'm with him, we'll sneak off and we'll go talk away from everybody else. But I try to separate when I come with my kids and my wife and my parents. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, we're going to talk about it, but at the same time, I try to restrict it as much as I can.
Yeah, and that's whatever works for people. What I want to tell new people and what I want to tell officers is that if you are thinking about it, it's okay. If you do want to talk about it, you need to talk about it, especially when you start your correctional journey, especially when you come home those first few days. You're going to have policies and procedures, and these instructors are going to tell you war stories. All these things are going to be thrown at you. And then you're gonna have to process those. I know some academies, I know that people go home at the end of the day. I went home at the end of the day, right? And so some people stay, and so maybe it's a little easier to process some of that stuff. But it's okay if you're still thinking about it, if you're still wanting to talk about it. But I like Joe's idea. I think that so that's one of the expectations you're gonna be given your first day is, hey, when you walk out of here, just walk out of here. And if you're not able to do that, which you won't the first few days, the first few years, I mean, maybe ever, that's okay. So for me, I think one of the things that I would want you to do and tell a new person to do is, and this is why I tell people, I say, hey, eat something you want to eat this week, take a walk, watch TV, whatever you want to do those hobby things that you're talking about, Joe, do that. So enjoy this little tranquility, this little slice of normalcy that you have before your world becomes, like you said, there's a little shadow, becomes a little darker, a little more intense sometimes. And so do that. Relax, cut your expectations. We joked about watching Oz and all that. I didn't really do that before I walked in the academy, but don't do that. If you're sitting around and you're watching 60 Days In, or you're watching Lock Up Raw, or you're watching all these crazy shows, you're like, this is really going to help me going into my career. It's not. Don't, just stop watching it. Relax. The most of us don't sit around and watch that stuff now because it reminds us of being at work. And so we just don't do it. So that's what I would say. Turn all that shit off, enjoy your life, enjoy your next 72 hours, 48 hours, and go in with an open mind and be like a sponge, man. Don't go in wondering if what should I, how do I get a look? Do I need to be like this? Just don't do that. Just go in and be yourself and listen to the instructors. Joe, have you ever do you remember your first day? I mean, I know it was 3 years ago. You've been a CO for 3 years. Is that right?
Oh my gosh. It was about six years ago and 11 months. I think I'm coming up on 7 here next month.
Nice. Congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's huge.
Just quiet. I mean, I know because I came from a different background. Like I came from like a I know we joke, but more like a professional background when it comes to an
Sure.
office setting. And so it was a
Right.
huge culture shock for me going and working with all these people and then seeing everything, the different codes, everything popping off. I mean, it was just the
Right.
entire time you just looking around, trying to figure out how to run the doors, trying to figure out which key to use to open
Right.
certain doors. What are the code names or the codes, numbers, who you're calling out, the 10 codes. I mean, it was just, yeah, it was quiet. It was quiet, but also asking a lot of questions. Quiet when it came to running my mouth and being froggy versus
Right.
and asking questions that I can learn from other people.
I remember sitting there probably in the first hour of the day uh, when they were talking about, the inmate to officer ratio and, kind of breaking down some of the war stories that we're talking about. And I'm like, I don't think I'm coming back. Like, I think this was a mistake. I don't think I want to do this. And yeah, I had a real problem wrapping my head around some of the things that they were talking about.
Yeah,
And fortunately, so I did. I mean, that day too, I'm sitting in the car in my parking lot, like,
rethinking
uh,
your life.
are we going to do this? Or I mean, what's at risk if I don't? And so I went in, and they will give you all of the tools to start your correctional
Yeah.
journey. And I'm glad I stayed. And it ended up being, as I progressed in the academy, they try to scare you right away, and they try to let you know that in fact, I don't know the exact verbiage, but I think it was something to the effect of, this is serious shit. Like, this is not a game. And if you don't know, like you said, what key to get in a door, if you don't know how to do certain things, somebody could die. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm
Also,
cut out for this.
if it is your first day and you are starting Monday, I will tell you, keep an eye on your staff you're working with in your housing unit. That's the biggest thing that I know a lot of people talk about. It's if I'm on a wing, if I'm signing my logbook, or if I'm shutting doors, if I'm shutting up day rooms, or running rec lines or chow lines, and you're not looking on the wing and you're eating or you're not paying attention, you're talking to your other cadet who's on the phone at the other facility, not the other facility, but the other unit. Yeah, pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention.
Mhm.
Pay attention to your staff in the housing unit.
Yeah, the margin of error if you make a mistake is huge in
So
this business.
fast.
And yeah, things can get pretty jacked up pretty quickly. So yeah, I would say that. I would say that when you are sitting there, ask your questions. If you have a question. But I got a message from a guy, and it was kind of concerning. Before he started, he was already trying to question what was valuable, what was important material, what wasn't important material. And I touched a little bit on this on Sunday. He was really focused on the cool stuff, the defensive tactics, the taser, the OC, but didn't really, so, and in fact, he said, some of the stuff I don't feel like I'll use. And I'm like, well, how do you know? Like, I'm sure they're just not filling curriculum with crap. I mean, there are, policies. Yeah, it's boring, but when you're sitting in a grand jury, it's very important to
So
know.
does he feel like he doesn't need like the OC or the cuffs or all that stuff because
No,
he
that's what he
got it?
wants to do. He wants to
Oh,
do.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's communication, correctional conversation is boring, but I want to hurry up and learn how to take somebody down. And that is when you're talking mindset, correctional officer. That's probably not a great mindset to have.
That is an extremely dangerous mindset to have in
Yeah,
corrections. If your first thought process is going hands on,
right.
come on. The
Well,
field's not.
and that may be right. So if you have no correctional experience, if you don't know anything about this world,
No.
you're watching, all these shows that we're kind of joking and laughing about. You may think that when you get in there, that it's a all hands on deck, fights every day, things are
Yeah.
going crazy, and then that's what you're going to have to do. And then on top of that, you want to prove to the other people that you're not a punk. And you by doing that, sometimes you come off as overly aggressive. sometimes you come off as arrogant, and it's not only with your staff, but with the inmates as well, right? So they can, if you're walking into the unit and you're all, puffed up and you're all barking orders and stuff, it's kind of crazy. So don't feel like you need to be that guy. If you're not that person, if you are that person, then cool. Like if you are like, super intense RoboCop guy, then do it. But if you're not, just back off a little bit, just relax, get all that shit out of your mind, because for my career, and everybody's career is a little different, but I spend the majority of my day conversating. I spend the majority of my day talking, de-escalating, putting out fires before they become fires. And so I very rarely have to get to the point where I'm going hands-on. Right. So I know some people out there that, that work. Now, if you're a segregation officer or you're working in a behavioral mental health unit with people with severe, mental health disorders or behavioral issues, you probably will go hands-on a little bit more. But going hands-on and handling, putting an inmate back in his cell or doing some of those things are different than just going in and fighting. You know, so yeah, I mean, this guy in the comments here, Joe, says mixture of boot camp and high school. What do you think about that?
I don't see the comments. Where's the comments?
It's on.
Wow.
It's on you.
There they are.
Yeah, here, let me put it up here.
No, I see.
He says the academy. This is what you do. The mixture of boot camp and high school. And this guy is always commenting on my YouTube videos. He's got a ton of great information, man. It's just amazing. But he's right. So Joe, how do we stay away from some of that high school stuff?
Yeah, it is. I see all these comments now. Shawshank, most definitely. We'll talk. Pay attention in class. Absolutely. Yes, pay attention in class. And the boot camp and the high school, it's the high school when it comes to staff, and it's the kind of the boot camp. Yes, it is a mixture of boot camp and high school. And boot camp is, I think, more in the academy. Like at the facility now, it's not like a boot camp vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't. It's a different corrections now. It is more like you've said, talking, putting out fires, handling your business professionally. Right. If your first mindset is to go hands-on right off the bat, it's not for you. You need to know how to talk to people. We are not the people who judge them. The individuals in custody, the inmates, they've already been judged. They're serving their time. And yes, you're going to have people who are a handful at times. Just talk to them. Handle your stuff. Handle yourself with your staff. Talk to your staff that you work with. Just, I don't know. Well, we could have different opinions on it too. You know what I'm saying? Not
on my show. If my show, you have to agree with me or you have to go do another show. Jose says you never understood why there used to be pressure to pop the cherry by using force. Different generation now, which has gone away from that, maybe too far away. I just think you have to play to your strengths. And I agree with that. But I do remember wanting to get into my first use of force, but mainly not because I wanted to do it, but because I wanted to see how it played out. I wanted to see how it went down when 5 or 6 or 10 officers responded to break up a fight. I had questions like, okay, is Joe going to go high and I'm going to go low, or does Joe like to spear people and I'm going to go high? I mean, like
swan dive,
right?
Swan diving.
Why is Joe knee striking me? I'm on the same team, So I had questions like that, and I really wanted to see how it played out, and so that was why I tell the new hires when I speak to them, I had a little notebook and I had like every unit, every position. I had, medical emergency, fight, all these things. And I had little check marks. I was such a nerd. I had little check marks, and then because I wanted, there was a little bit of anxiety because I wanted to be able to handle
his first day. Just
really, it was not on my first day, but I did. I had a little note. I had my little pocket notebook, and I wanted to work because and I don't ever tell anybody fair, firm, and consistent, because that's like when, every time I hear that, I feel like that's when, your wife puts on something and she's like, how do I look? And you're like, oh, baby, you look fine.
What? How is that a comparison?
Someone says, Mr. Young, when I have an inmate that doesn't want to go to a cell and he's got severe mental health issues and he threw a tray, what should I do? You'd be fair, firm, and consistent. That's what you do. Be fair, firm, consistent. Well, what does that
Is
mean? It means be fair, firm, consistent, motherfucker. That's what it means.
Okay, but in that question of that context that you asked,
right,
that would not be the answer.
No, it's always the answer in corrections. Look at, do you follow any social media stuff on corrections? It is always the answer.
I have gotten off of all.
I could make a video of every single one of my videos should just be fair, firm, and consistent, volume 3, volume 4, volume 5. That's all. And you're going to, so guys, rolling into the academy, I want you to make a bingo card. Joe, let's make a bingo card right now.
Okay.
For these,
I guess, guys, everyone we're making bingo cards together right now.
Let's do this. What are the
How do you
5?
spell bingo?
Hey guys, put it in the comments. My first job, Eric said, my first job out of the academy was funeral trip. Yeah, that's crazy. But listen, here's 5 things you're going to hear at the academy. I guarantee, and you mark it off on your bingo card. You'll bingo right in the middle of training. Bingo. And one of them is going to be leave work at work and home at home. That's number 1. Leave work. We covered that earlier. Work at work and home at home.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. But somebody's going to say that to you. Also, fair, firm, and consistent. And I want you to smile. Here's what I want you to do. This is a good this is a good training exercise. Sometimes in corrections, when you go in, something happens and you cannot react. You can't laugh, you can't cry, you can't scream. Yeah. You have to be very stoic. And I want you to practice that when you're sitting in class after watching this video and your training instructor says that the secret to being a good correctional officer is to be fair, firm, and consistent. And don't laugh, but real quietly, secretly check it off in your little bingo card. Okay, your little bingo card, and that's how it'll go. So there's 2. We got some more we're gonna work on. Harry puts in the comments, and I like this. And let me throw this up here real quick. When you're rolling into the academy and you're thinking about stuff, don't take things personally.
Yes.
Now, that's not just the inmate population.
No, I mean, right? Yeah, I mean, when one shark sees you bleeding, everyone else is coming out in the woodwork, right? And it's going to be from both sides of it every single time. So don't take it personally. Just turn off the haters. It's hard. It's going to take a while to get in that mindset to ignore the haters, but yes, ignore them. You get to that point eventually.
I mean, I talk with an individual. He sometimes nicknames in jail, I don't know if it's the same in prison, they're not very creative, right? So I remember one time going into a housing unit. I was getting ready to do my count. It was a dormitory style housing unit. Yeah. Okay. And I walked in and the whole entire unit does this. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun. You know, it's the Uncle Fester thing, right? From Addams Family. And for a second, I'm like, should I be pissed? Should I like
just go with it?
Or should I just
laugh at him?
I did. And that's what I did. Yeah. And you know what? So, I owned it and it is what it is. And it was great. But
verbal judo these
they
days.
Will. Yeah. Verbal judo. Hey, that's a great one. Put verbal judo on your bingo card. And this isn't to make light of or make fun of some of the things they're going to tell you, because fair, firm, and consistent does it does mean something. Somebody else put care, custody, and control. These things are important if implemented properly, but I'm just telling you that you're going to hear it, and but dig into those things. So what does fair, firm, consistent mean? You dig into it. Verbal judo is it's good, it's real good, but there are also other forms of communication and skills and techniques that you can learn that really help. So dig in all that. We're just having a little fun tonight. If you guys don't want to have fun, you can go watch your MMA videos somewhere else, because I know that's what you're doing 2 days before starting the academy. You're bang energy drinks and watching Hoist Gracie put Dan Severum in a chokehold. Why? You don't even know those guys either, do you?
I do. What I tell you I was going to do, I know those guys.
Oh
Good
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Good show.
I remember exactly.
Yeah. I watched it the other day myself.
Let me scroll through some
You
of these
know,
comments here.
speaking of nicknames, I was given a nickname
Yeah.
one day, and this individual got really mad at me. I forgot what he was mad about. But and I won't say the profanity part of it because I'll
It's a family show. Yeah.
It's a family show. I'll stay
Yeah.
professional.
Okay.
He called me a Keebler elf. In the middle of him just getting mad, I don't care, you Keebler elf looking mother. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's a good nickname. Like, yeah, it's stuck. Yeah. Keebler. Yeah.
Me and I had another guy in academy that was similar. He's a little bit shorter than me.
How
And
tall are you?
And uglier. I don't give out personal information on the show, Joe. So I'm 5'10". I know I look gigantic, but that's just my fat face. But they called us roly polies. Our academy instructors called us roly polies.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, but I mean,
called Peter Griffin. I'm trying to listen, but some of these are good.
Peter Griffin. Oh, somebody on here. Okay, I thought they were calling me Peter Griffin.
No.
Oh, that's awesome, Harry. That's awesome. You know what? Here's what I do, Joe. I tell them. They say I had the one guy, and he says he comes up. You know, they always, in a county jail, the new guys come up. I'm sure there's clowns in prison too, but they come up. Hey, CO. You know who you look like? And I'm like,
Zach Galifianakis.
Uncle Fester. He's like, no, man. I said, King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
No, man, it's Butterbean. I mean, like, what do you got, dude? I've been fat, bald my whole life.
I've been called everything, yeah.
You know, and then he's like, I said, "Are you done?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm done." Okay, well, let's just clear that up. You know, yeah. I mean, so yeah, you got to. Who cares? You don't. Here's my secret. Let me tell you a secret, and and I tell this to my kids when they're talking. You're talking about people saying things to you. I say this: if you wouldn't go to their funeral if they died in a fiery crash, then who cares what they say about you?
Yeah.
So
that's anybody.
Don't take it personal, you know? Yeah. So, so Peter Griffin is online. A Boss Baby is on here. I'm seeing a profile of big-headed, bald correctional officers in the comments. And, which I try to tell people that, I'm not that,
you're beautiful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It. So we have listen. Let's talk a little bit, Joe, about, because you talked a little bit about this. It's something my wife has always teased me about. And I had a meeting on Monday at 4:00, and at 2:00 she came up to me and she goes, "Don't you have a 4:00 meeting? Like, shouldn't you be leaving now?" I mean, that's what she gives me such a hard time. But my routine and my mental preparation started a couple hours before my shift.
Yeah.
And I've developed this transition from personal life to professional life now. But before, it was I had to report at 3:00. At 1:00, I was getting ready, and I would leave the house by like 1:30, and I was at the facility 40 minutes early. An hour early, and I would go up and I'd get ready, and I'd go up into the break room where we had our briefing, and my wife would always say, "Well, you're getting ready to fly your plane," and she's kind of right. It was I wanted to be mentally prepared for the day. Yeah. I wanted to get a handle on the tone of the facility. Did anything happen? And I guess for me, it's not that my personality is different inside, but it sort of is. I have this, inside voice, this inside, Bill, where I have to interact, engage, and behave in a way that I could die at any moment. And then I have the Bill that's just hanging outside. Same skill set, same funny conversational tone, but I needed to separate my worlds, so I could get in the game. I didn't want to, have an argument with my wife 5 minutes before I left for my facility, and I'm walking in the door 2 minutes before my shift starts, because you don't really have time to prepare for that. And so for me, my routine, like I said, it starts even to this day. I show up. I'm down to about a half an hour now,
Yeah.
but I need to have that clear line, that clear transition from what I'm doing right now at home to what I'm going to be doing possibly. And so for me, that routine too, that mental transformation from father to officer is huge. Do you have any routines or anything special that you do going to? Let's start with just going to your job, the facility.
Yeah. I mean, it's simply, I have my, don't make fun, but I relate with everything with music. And so I have my playlist that I will not disclose on here.
Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got Michael Bolton on there. You're screaming at the car.
Ah! I got my playlist. And no, I just we just went to Disney, right? A couple weeks ago.
Right.
And I didn't think about work at all. But that day leading up, I could just feel that dark cloud coming. And so
Nice.
I left a little bit earlier that day to kind of adapt to my routine before I go into work. So
you have to stay focused, Joe. Stay focused. Okay. Shut the comments off.
Okay, I'm going to private chat, so I don't see that. Done. I don't see what you guys are saying.
See, people think it's easy to do this, but you have to be able to multitask and look and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely just get in my car, listen to my music, I get my playlist. I do my quick meditation before I walk in, and I live not that far away from the facility, so like for me, I am there 30 minutes before work. And I'm in my car, and then once 2:30 hits, that's when I step out of my car. I try to keep it consistently with 2:30, not 2:29, not 2:25, 2:30. Joe will step out of his car and make my way towards the facility for our 2:45 roll call.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If something happens, do you show up at 2:35? Do you freak out?
Yes.
Are you? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like I have to be there by 2:00, maybe 2:05, 2:10 if I'm feeling froggy. But that's my time to do my quick meditation, listen to my music, and then at 2:30 I walk in. And you don't realize you have this routine until now. Like right now, you're talking about it. Like while I'm thinking about it, it's 2:30. I get out of my car and I walk towards the facility.
I have I get there early enough that I usually have my parking spot. Yeah. And when somebody, and these guys know it, like the guys that I work with, they know that that's my parking spot, and they know that if I can't park there, that I'm like it's not a conscious thought, but I'm driving to work and I'm like, okay, what are we gonna get right? Yeah. And then I pull into the parking lot and I'm like, son of a bitch, somebody's in my parking spot. And then like my day starts to unravel.
Yeah.
And I think what I think is that as correctional officers, we are taught to control the uncontrollable. We're told to keep this chaos at bay. And so the little tiny things that we can control during our day, like what time we get to work, what time we leave the house, those are very important. And we don't even realize kind of how important they are as markers for our day. But when that starts to unravel, then it becomes this thing where it's like, okay, well, now my parking lot's gone, my parking space is gone, or traffic was bad. So I'm here 5 minutes later, which means I don't get to do this, which means my day is going to be shit. And it can be. And so that's why I say the one thing that you can control in corrections right now and you can't even control when you go home. So we're not even talking about that.
No.
You can control when you get to your facility. You can control your routine from home to work, and then that's what's important. Like you have your playlist, you have your meditation, which I want to know what's on your what was Joe?
I'm telling you, I'm not disclosing that.
Listening to today. Why?
Today?
The inquiring minds want to know.
So today, outside of work?
No, what's on Joe's? What's your jam right now?
Right now,
yeah,
we listen to Disney
Pearl Jam.
Music. No, we
Disney.
were outside.
Okay.
It was a Disney vibe today.
Okay, that's okay.
Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. That is, we all have our parts in the song and the characters, and I have my part, and I'm really dedicated to my part when that song, when that line comes on. Bohemian Rhapsody, that jammed out today.
Okay.
A little bit of John Denver.
Okay.
Country
Very
Roads
eclectic.
came on. Yeah. So it was all, we did like a solid 2 hours of Disney. We all jammed, hurt my back doing the slip and slide. And then we went into more of the little bit of old country and some classic rock type stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So everything that I thought you would listen to, based on your beanie and, yeah, no, that's cool. So is there a difference?
Reminded you to put your hat on before we started the show. You're welcome.
But you said nothing
and
about
now you're attacking the beanie.
No, I just think that
Okay. So
hey, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. We just told him, right?
Okay. Yep. Okay. Check.
Hey, somebody just put fair, firm, and consistent in the comments. And no, you shouldn't. Officer 47 says he has a very similar routine. Here, let me put this up here. Very similar routine.
I see it.
Half hour, get my vest belt gear on, grab a bottle of water, walk in and say hi to the desk crew. That's so, guys, I'm telling you what, I don't understand. And maybe somebody, if you're in the comments and you want to explain this, how can you get to the facility like 30 seconds before your shift starts?
Oh my gosh.
And mentally run your, I mean, are you there? Are you thinking about the job? I mean, and let me tell you, as a new officer, as a new cadet, don't be late. Don't ever be late. No. Don't ever be late. That if you can't be late or if you can't be on time, how are you going to do CPR when you need to? If you can't be on time, how are you going to make your round? I mean, just the bare minimum that you can do as an employee anywhere, really.
If you're not paying attention to the time you're supposed to be at work, how do I know if something pops off and a code happens if you're going to be paying attention to come running and help me out if I need it?
Right.
Don't be late. Don't be that guy.
Harry says he goes into work 45 minutes before shift and usually listens to death metal. Today, I slowed it down with some suicidal tendencies. Nice. Very good. Very good. Is your playlist different, Joe, on the way home from work?
You're trying to get into my playlist at work.
I'm just. I don't
like it.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you what. On the way home, I don't listen to anything.
You don't?
No, I don't listen to anything.
Yeah.
But on the way to work, I'll tell you what I listen to on Fridays. On my Fridays driving in, I listen to Limp Bizkit. And it's usually the first album, $3 Bill. That's also what I cut my grass to when I'm out with my weed eater jamming out. I love that. Or maybe some Linkin Park I'll sprinkle in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Things like that. And to kind of gear me up, which maybe I should do that more. But most of the time I like to just reflect as I'm driving in and really try to pull those two worlds apart. But you can see it. Go around, walk around, talk to people in your facility. What's your routine? What do you do? And just kind of have them talk about it. I bet some of them don't even realize they're doing that stuff.
Yeah. I think when I get off from work, it is something I can sing to because it is like a celebration that you're getting off of work, right?
Right.
And so I love my classic rock. And so I'll go with classic rock or typically I'm really into indie folk. So don't make no beard comments or beanie comments when I say that. But yeah, I do like my Mumford & Sons. I see you. I'll give you 2 seconds to say something. Go.
No, I'm not going to say nothing. I listen, me and my neighbor have this, you would get along good. My neighbor's playlist is just as lame as yours. And no, I'm just kidding. So we do this thing where I send him, we exchange playlists throughout the week. So like whatever he's listening to, he'll send to me, I'll send to him, and we're broadening our. I love all kinds of music, and I love just as long as it's emotional, as long as you can feel it. Like I love songwriters that write their own stuff. You can tell it sounds differently. I love everything, dude. Yeah, Taylor Swift is one of my favorites. She's just, there's no better soundtrack for my life than Taylor Swift. Yeah. And I appreciate you bringing that up.
I got you.
Taylor Swift plays in the intercom system of my Tamagotchi prison while they're doing rec. Guys, what's your favorite? If you have a favorite song, favorite band, put it in the comments. And let's see here. Let's see. Yes.
Show me.
Listen to this. That a boy says, and I love this guy. He comments all the time. Work ever kick your ass so bad you drove home with no music, just driving the speed limit? And I'm gonna tell you this.
Yes.
I've actually been doing every day, and I'm usually crying as well. But let me tell you what I've done as an exercise in patience and as an exercise in just relaxing a little bit is my new and I think I wrote about it a little bit in one of my books, but when I leave the facility and I get on the interstate, I just put cruise control on. I have the windows down and I just go and I watch the rest of the world just boom, 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 speed past and people going in and out. And I just drive the speed limit. And it just gives me this calm feeling because the rest of the world around me is going crazy. Yeah. And here I am just cruising. And yeah, so I definitely do that a boy. And sometimes, honest with you, I do that so it takes me just a couple of minutes longer to get home because I'm just
that decompression time is needed.
Yeah. Joe, you've talked about that dark cloud hanging over your head, the feeling of the dark cloud when you get ready to go in. Can you explain that just a little bit more? What is I don't want a new person to think that we're doom and glooming, but there is a certain weight that comes with working in this profession. Can you want to expand on that a little bit?
I get really touchy. Like I get
okay.
Like I'm just get really grumpy. And so when we got back from vacation, it was fun. It was exciting. I had fun with my kids. I had fun with my wife. My in-laws came. Everything was so much fun in Disney.
Nice.
And then like that day or two right before, I could just feel it. And it's a hard feeling to explain when it just kind of comes over, but it comes over and you start getting more irritable. And that's what I get. I get more snappy. When the past 10 days, Joe hasn't been snappy. Now I'm snappy. I get very short tempered. And then while it was happening, I realized what was going on. So I had to take some time to myself. I think I mowed the yard. My wife makes fun of me because I have to have a perfect yard when I mow. But yeah, it comes, and I mean, I can only speak for me, and you can explain for yourself as well if you want to. But yeah, I get very irritable when that dark cloud comes because you had so much fun on vacation. You had so much fun away, and you got to turn off all your phones. You didn't hear from the facility. You didn't hear from anybody really, and now you're getting ready to go back in. But yeah, irritable would be how I would describe it for me.
My very first, I don't know if you know, but my very first article that I ever wrote, ever had published was I Can Feel It. And it talks about what you just talked about. It talks about sitting outside on my back porch with my dog, with the sun, with the little birdies chirping in the background. And I am not at ease. I am not okay because I have to go into work. And it has nothing to do with, I think people think that, well, if you feel that way, maybe you should get out, or if it's that disruptive. But when you work in this business, your personal life and your professional life, there should be a very stark contrast between what your home environment is like and what your work environment is like. And so if you are, inside of the concrete walls and the bay and the garage and everything's loud and there's sharp edges and it's very, it smells like piss and all that. Not piss, but too many people housed, like a giant locker room.
Yeah.
Your home is probably not like that.
It smells like piss.
And knowing, and I'm gonna give you a heads up what I think it is from my semi-professional experience is that that's your low dose of anxiety, of your fight or flight, of you knowing that your body reacting. So it's like when I used to go to the gym 6 days a week, and about 45 minutes before I would go, my body would start to like get ready. Like, okay, hey, we know this is the routine. We're getting ready to go. our bodies are the same way when we go to work. I mean, you just know. I don't know if it's subconsciously or whatever, but you know what you're getting into. You know that the
Yeah.
week's going to be long. You know that you're going to have arguments. You know that people are going to be pissy. You know that there's a possibility that you're going to get into some sort of altercation, maybe even worse. I mean, God bless the people that work in like facilities where, people have been, killed, severely assaulted, and then you go back into work. I mean, what's your mindset after that? And so for me, just that muscle memory of, that when you leave that facility every day, you feel like you survived, you feel like
Yep.
you made it. And
Yep.
it's not even, and again, I think people take this the wrong way when I talk about it, but it's not like I walk out every day and I'm like, oh my God, oh, just one more day. I just can't, I'm so glad I survived. But it is like, all right, let's go home. We did it. We accomplished something. And then after, especially after an extended vacation,
Yeah.
even a 3 or 4 day weekend, when you start to feel better, and it's not like you don't even think about it really. You're like, God, being away from work really is good for my mental health. You're just fine. And then Sunday night comes and you're like, ugh, I got to get up. I got to do this. I got to do, and it's just
Everything that while you were on vacation or while you're home with your family, now everything becomes, you almost feel like it's extra,
right.
Yeah. And that's when I say, like, I get irritable. Like, everything that I've just done, this routine at home, now it's like extra. So now I'm getting more snappy about it with everybody in the house. But yeah.
I like this comment here. Listen, I believe that the toughest thing when it comes to the job is acquiring that separation between job and home.
Is.
And let me tell you, Officer 47, that's not only an awesome picture on your profile, but an awesome comment. And I had a therapist explain it to me like this. We've talked about the switch, the turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. That's what they're going to tell you in the academy. But I had a therapist explain it to me like this. It's more of a dimmer switch. It's can you dial it down enough that you're still happy and productive at home. Nobody's asking you to forget about the things. Nobody's asking you to not ever think about it. They're just saying have coping mechanisms, have strategies in place that it doesn't have a gigantic impact on your life. And I think that's the expectation, and that's to me a realistic expectation on what it is. So don't you're going to take shit home with you. Having that separation
time. Yeah.
Right. And having that separation is super important. And the way you do that is by having a routine, by taking time off when you can take time off. Never work your weekends. That's what I tell people. Never work your weekends. But the routine on the way in, the playlist, the meditation, the parking spot. And I see people are making fun of me in the thing about the parking spot, but having that clear. So for me, and I talked about this a long time ago on another show, but I have my routine from when I shower to how I get ready to where my wallet is to all these things.
Yeah.
And if I get outside and I get in my truck and I forgot something and I have to go back into the house, I almost have to start that entire process over. And it's like I kiss the family goodbye. Boom. Now I'm going out. Now I'm Officer Young. And then if I have to go back in, that screws everything up. And, and I just don't want to start over.
It's like you said, how the therapist said, it's like that dimmer, right?
Right.
And that's how I control that. And then that's when I set the timer, right? Of how I talk. Like, yeah, you made the valid point of, every other profession, we talk about what we do at work. We talk about it at home with people around us. For me, that's a great analogy. I dim it down as much as I can. I have to turn it off. And it's just dim it. And I just turn it off slowly so I can enjoy my time outside of work. Because if you're always thinking about the place, if you're always talking about the place, you're never going to escape the place. And then it's always going to come home with you every single time. And that's how I try to escape it, is by not talking about it all the time. And I tell people all the time as well, it's going to be damn near impossible to separate home and work in this profession.
That's an interesting question here. Would going by a different name at work, maybe middle name, help separate work from home? And I think that for me, at work, I'm Young. I'm Officer Young.
Yep.
I'm Mr. Young. I'm CO. And at home I'm Bill. I mean, so yes, I mean it helps. My wife obviously doesn't call me, hey, Officer Young, will you go take out the trash? But I'm going to say this, any way that works for, she calls me William.
Yeah.
That's why it's funny when I put, she says, William, come take out the trash. I said, okay, well, that's why we have kids. But
Yeah.
anything you can do to separate, to control that dimmer switch is fine. If you want to go by your middle name here and you want to do it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I think it's a good idea or if I think it's silly or if Joe thinks it's silly. Do it. If it's working for you and for your family, then do it. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, officers go to the gym, officers go for a walk, whatever it is. To me, that doesn't matter. I mean, Joe, are you with me on that, or?
Yeah. I mean, no, I go by my last name at work. Unless if I'd be working with you, yeah, call me Joe, but not in front of everybody else, right?
Right.
If it's me and you working in a unit together, it's Young and it's Valentine,
Mm-hmm.
And I call the inmates or the individuals in custody by their last name as well. No nicknames. You don't want to do nicknames. You don't want to call them by the first name, because when you do all that, you open the door for everything extra that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just straight last. But yeah, I mean, that's just my 2 cents with that when it comes to how you should be called at work, what you should do.
Let me get your take on this, Joe. How should we handle new officers that don't want to enforce the rules? Now, I like this question, but we can say, how do we handle veteran officers that don't enforce rules? How do we handle people that don't do corrections like I do?
Yeah. You just remind them. You constantly remind them. Young, did you sign your logbook today? It's been about 30 minutes. I know you've been busy, but you sign your logbook. I need you to go sign your logbook.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, when I'm the sergeant, I'm not asking you. I'm kind of telling you. But I kind of word it differently. Did you sign the logbook? I need you to go sign your logbook for me, please. Right. Did you shut your doors? I need you to go shut your doors. I'm just constantly just wording it like that every single day. And if it's going to be an issue, then we're going to talk in the office. I will pull you aside and I will talk to you in the office.
Right.
Yeah, you just keep on them, because at the end of the day, it's your safety.
Right.
We talk about that new officer up in the control who might not be paying attention when a door is open, when you're on the wing doing your rounds, you get pulled into a cell. They don't know. Well, that door could have been shut, but Young decided not to shut the door.
Didn't shag it. Yep.
So
yeah, no, I guys, communication is the key here. And as a new officer, I think it's important that you're going to go in, and we tease you and we joke about it a little bit, but you're going to go in and you're going to want to find those infractions, and you're going to want to let people know, both officers and inmates, that you're going to enforce rules. Now, none of us enforce every single rule every single day, because you would that's all you'd be doing every day. But there are things that you do need to go in, mundane things like that, that seem silly, like shagging a door, making sure that door's shut. Yeah, you want to make sure that door's shut. Or one of the big things at our facility is we have these plastic chairs that they can have in their room during the day, but we want to take them out at night. Well, why do you want to take them out at night? It's really not that big a deal. I don't want to have that conversation with that individual. They're going to argue with me. Well, then we pull out 4 or 5 shanks that are made from the legs of these plastic chairs that, it's going to be a lot more uncomfortable to handle those than just that conversation to get them out. And so how should you handle new officers? If you're an established veteran, if you have a body of work in your facility that says, hey, I know what I'm doing and I have the respect, when you approach them, just approach them like you would want to be approached, and just say, hey, this is why you should enforce this rule. Not, hey, I'm going to use your example, Joe. Hey, sign your logbook. Well, why? Well, here's the thing. You have to sign the logbook because here's what happens. 3 years ago, we had an inmate that hung himself in his cell. The officer didn't sign the logbook, couldn't prove when he did a round. Now he's in a grand jury and he's on the street because he couldn't prove that he did the watch when he said he did the watch and everything. I mean, we
It's
can
a domino
just
effect.
right. Everything, the consequences for everything is huge. And so, when you're talking about, something that seems silly, like, how
shutting
many
doors? Why do we gotta shut doors? They're gonna open them right back anyways, and why are we shutting doors?
Propping doors is huge.
All the fights happen in the cell. They ain't really gonna fight on a wing, if they do, get it. You handle, you respond how you should respond, but most typically it'll happen in a cell.
That a boy says, you know what you signed up for. Hey, yeah, that's put that on your bingo card. You probably won't get that in the academy, but you are going to get that at some point.
But that's a good question. Did you though?
Did you, Joe? Did you? Did you?
I asked you first.
Okay, no, I didn't. I didn't know what I signed up for. I knew that loosely what a correctional officer does because of my viewing of Oz, but I had no idea that May work varied hours, holidays, and weekends meant that for the rest of my life I was going to work hundreds of hours of overtime nonstop. I didn't know that may have to restrain a combative individual meant that combative individual was going to have a mouthful of flesh out of my coworker's arm while he was covered in his own shit in a flooded cell. I didn't know that. I didn't, because my mind didn't operate like that. I didn't know that those kind of people existed. And so no, I knew that I signed up. I loosely knew what the duties of a correctional officer are.
We had an idea of the dangers. Like, we know that something could happen. We heard stories how we watched Oz and stuff. But you really don't fully know until you've worked in there.
I mean,
I agree with you. I didn't know what I signed up for.
Nobody does. And to when somebody says that, and they'll say that in response to you having an adverse reaction to something that is going on. So you either have to stay late, or you're complaining, or you're stressed out. Somebody's going to say, well, you knew what you signed up for. And this is going to come from somebody wearing the same uniform that you are wearing. And just tell them, no, I didn't. I didn't know that I was going to watch a guy fist himself for an entire shift, while I had to sit on a constant watch. I didn't know that. Like who tells you that? You didn't cover that in the academy. I mean, I think you purposely left it out. And so that, so that requires some processing, if you guys don't mind, and so, even if you knew potentially that you were going to witness, somebody getting the shit kicked out of them. Sure. But when you see it, when you respond to it, when you're responsible for pulling that guy out of that pile, it's a whole different ballgame, man. And so you just don't know how you're going to react.
In that situation, it's genuinely just, and I don't know how you are with me, it's just zoom, like it's tunnel vision, and it's just control the situation. Because at the same time, you don't know what else is happening in the background, right? You don't know if a shank's getting passed. You don't know if it was just a setup at that time. So you're trying to zone in on that. Then you also literally have to have eyes in the back of your head and try to keep that situational awareness around you. And that takes time with learning. It really does. Understand that if you do start Monday, that fight or flight will kick in.
And you can't do anything about it.
That are you going to just hold the door? You're going to stand? You're going to watch? You're going to go the other wing? Act like you didn't see it? Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to respond right off the bat? And it's hard to explain, but when you're in that situation, hopefully not come Monday, but if you're in that situation,
right?
I don't know. I mean, it just happens.
It does. It's an automatic response.
It's a response.
It's an automatic response. People have fight, flight, or freeze. It's a real thing. I'm reading this incredible book called Waking the Tiger about it. And it is, there are plenty of officers who freeze at some point in their career because this is the first time they've watched anybody cut their own neck, or this is the first time they've seen a dead body, or this is the first time that, whatever. And they stop. There was a video, a breakdown I did not too long ago of, of an officer who watches, this guy gets sucker punched, boom. And this officer just kind of dances around, like not sure what to do. And I talked to somebody who was involved in that situation. They reached out to me and they say, you know what? That dude has been an officer for 15 years now. He's a solid correctional officer. That's the one point in his career, early in his career, that he didn't know what to do. And so as veteran officers, they, instead of scorning him, they taught him, they said, hey, next time, these are some things that we can do. And now the guy's a fantastic leader in their crew. And wow. It's fantastic. So fight, flight, or freeze is real. You need to know that as a new officer, so you don't put a lot of pressure on yourself if you don't feel that you behaved appropriately, or maybe did everything that you could do the first time you see something, because that's your body's survival instinct kicking in. Yeah. And then as a veteran officer, when you see a new person struggling or whatever, just understand that there's other factors at play to why they did that. It's not that they shouldn't be there. It's not that they aren't cut out for the job. It's just that their body says, we're going to not engage because that's how we're going to survive this thing. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's a deal.
Joe, with the timing, and it comes with guidance, like with dude. Yeah, absolutely. The staff took him aside and showed him how to be better. And like you said, he's one of the leaders now. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you if you have, there's another comment on her, but this is, I can't get into this now. It's huge. But I'm going to do another show, and I'll probably have Joe come back with me about rapport.
I'm going to look at the comments real fast.
Yeah, no, don't do that because you're going to get sidetracked. Any parting words? Any last words for these people? These up and comers starting the academy in the next few days, next couple days. What is Joe's words of wisdom, words of motivation for them?
Pay attention to your surroundings, watch for your staff, and keep that balance, that internal balance. I have a really good friend, and she tells me all the time, keep yourself balanced, keep yourself balanced, keep yourself balanced. Find your hobby, find your passion. You stick with it. Stick with it while you're at work. You pay attention to your surroundings. You genuinely watch your staff while they're on the wings. If you're running the control, you run the control, and you run the housing unit. You are the eyes when I'm on a wing and I can't see what's going on. That's your job. Have my back and keep me safe. Keep your brothers and sisters safe. And that's big.
Yeah, I mean, so day one, don't let Joe die. So no pressure. Day one, Joe's
keep
life
Joe
is in
safe.
your hand.
That's what I tell everyone. Are you going to keep me safe today? That's what I
want to know. I want to know. That's a lot of pressure, dude. I want to know something, Joe. Yeah. What do I have to do to get a T-shirt? To get a Be Louder T-shirt, and I mean, do I have to drive to your place? Do I have to? I mean, Jesus. what do I have to do to get a T-shirt?
We'll talk about this after the cameras.
Okay, all right, very good.
I'll send one your way. I know I said last time.
No, you won't.
I do.
You're not going to.
I swear to you, I will. I promise you.
Okay.
Promise
time, for people watching.
So the next video, if after this you have me back on here, right?
It depends on if I get a T-shirt.
Okay, no, well, by that next time, okay, we will bring this up. It'll be the first thing to bring up. Hey, is the T-shirt on the way? Has it been shipped, or do you have it? Those will be the big three.
So here's what I want to do. I want you to pretend that you're going to send me a shirt, and then I also want you to text me later, and I want to know what I'm curious about your playlist. And I know you don't want to share it with the world, but I want you to send me a song that is in your playlist that you think that I should listen to, and that's what we'll do.
I'll show you right now, real fast. 2 seconds.
1.
Stop it.
2.
I like Wardruna. Like Wardruna is a band that I genuinely enjoy. Like this is me being honest right now. I love my indie folk. I love my classic rock. Right. Yeah, I jam out to Disney every once in a while. Yeah, I love my Broadway musicals. I ain't gonna lie. I can sing, right? We are in a concert in our car when we're listening to all this music.
What's your favorite musical?
That's tough.
No, we're not doing that either. I love musicals
we
too.
We don't got time for that.
Okay,
right?
we'll do that next time.
But
we'll
yeah, Wardrina is a band that I genuinely, when it comes to my meditation, that I listen to before work, and if it's a rough night, after work as well. But Wardrina is someone who I enjoy listening to.
Nice. All right. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on, Joe.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Yeah.
Hopefully, in this 74 minutes of rambling, there has been a tiny little piece of nugget of something that somebody can hold on to. Guys, if you're starting the academy Monday, if you're starting the academy soon, if you're going to the job soon, good luck. And if you need anything, if you question anything, reach out to me at justcorrections@gmail.com. If you want to reach out to Joe, Joe, do you have an email that you want to give out, or do you want me to just get a hold of you? Or
yeah, belouder@gmail.com. My Facebook page is Be Louder.
belouder@gmail.com. justcorrections@gmail.com. Joe, I'm going to have you back on the show 100,000 times. I love you. I love you for being on here, and I appreciate everything you do for the profession.
I love you too, brother.
And for mental health. And guys, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks for your questions, your comments. I'll be checking in the comments later.
I'll get caught up in the comments.
Joe will get caught up, and he gets distracted easily, so we're gonna have to fix that and work on that. But all right, guys, have a good night. That's all I got. Until next time, be smart, stay safe, stay sane, and
be louder.
No, there you go. Okay, we can do that.
No, what were you thinking?
Be louder. You've never watched my videos. You've never watched. You don't know my tagline.
I just took over.
Oh, okay. So. Be smart, stay safe, stay sane, and be louder. Be louder. All right, guys. Have a great night.